People don't usually trust celebrity relationships. In fact, most of the time, they assume something is being hidden. But when Son Ye-jin and Hyun Bin are mentioned, something unusual happens. People don't ask questions, they don't demand explanations, they don't wait for proof. And that behavior is far more interesting than the relationship itself. Public trust in entertainment has never been simple. It has been shaped by years of carefully curated images, sudden reversals, and narratives that once felt sincere but later collapsed under scrutiny. Because of that history, audiences have learned to be cautious. They pause. They observe. They look for patterns before they decide what feels credible. That is why the response surrounding Son Ye-jin and Hyun Bin stands out. Not because it is louder, but because it is quieter. Not because it invites attention, but because it exists without asking for it. Trust in this context does not come from declarations. It comes from consistency. Long before their relationship entered public awareness, both Son Ye-jin and Hyun Bin had already established recognizable behavioral patterns. Neither relied on personal disclosure to maintain relevance. Neither used private life as narrative material. Over time, the absence of invitation became familiar. Son Ye-jin's public presence was defined early by continuity rather than reinvention. Her career did not progress through sharp contrasts or dramatic shifts in identity. Instead, it unfolded gradually through accumulation rather than disruption. Audiences became accustomed to seeing her without being asked to know her. This distinction matters more than it appears. When audiences are conditioned to constant sharing, silence creates suspicion. When they are conditioned to restraint, silence feels normal. Son Ye-jin belonged to the second category long before any personal relationship became part of public discussion. Because of that, when she did not offer explanations, the absence of explanation did not feel evasive. It felt aligned with expectation. There was no contradiction to resolve, no image to reevaluate. Hyun Bin arrived at a similar position through a different route. His public image was shaped not by gradual reduction of disclosure, but by its absence from the beginning. He did not build rapport through emotional access. He did not frame himself as personally knowable. As a result, the public never developed habits of entitlement toward his private life. There was no assumed right to insight, no expectation of reassurance, no demand for clarification. The boundary existed clearly and early, and because it was never softened, it was never challenged. This distinction is critical in understanding public trust. People question what they feel entitled to. They accept what they were never promised. Over time, both individuals established an unspoken behavioral contract with the audience. It was never articulated directly, but it was reinforced through repetition. The contract was simple and consistent. Visibility would be professional and privacy would remain intact. Once such a contract exists, trust becomes easier to maintain. When their relationship became known, it did not introduce a contradiction. There was no visible shift in tone or behavior. Nothing about their public presence required reinterpretation. The same boundaries remained in place. This is where many celebrity relationships encounter difficulty. Sudden changes in visibility invite reevaluation. Reevaluation invites doubt. Doubt invites scrutiny. But here, the continuity remained unbroken. Another important factor was the absence of defensive communication. Neither Son Ye-jin nor Hyun Bin attempted to manage public emotion. They did not counter speculation. They did not correct assumptions. They did not frame narratives. From a communication perspective, this restraint is significant. Defensive messaging often signals vulnerability. It suggests that trust must be actively protected or repaired. Silence combined with consistency, on the other hand, signals confidence in the pattern that already exists. Audiences respond differently to these signals. When people feel they are being persuaded, they resist. When they feel they are simply observing, they relax. That relaxation is essential for trust to form organically. Over time, the public response to moments associated with them became predictably calm. Personal milestones were acknowledged without escalation. Interest did not transform into scrutiny. Observation did not turn into investigation. This response reveals something fundamental about audience psychology. Trust, once established, reduces vigilance. When audiences feel no ownership over a narrative, they do not attempt to control it. They do not dissect it. They do not feel responsible for evaluating its authenticity. They observe, acknowledge, and move on. Son Ye-jin and Hyun have never positioned their private lives as shared narratives. There is no evolving storyline presented to the public, no emotional framing that invites judgment, no unresolved tension that requires resolution. Without emotional cues, audiences lack a framework for critique. Emotionally neutral presentation produces emotionally neutral reception. This creates a reinforcing cycle. Low exposure leads to low speculation. Low speculation leads to low suspicion. Low suspicion preserves trust. Over time, audiences stop associating these individuals with events and begin associating them with tone. A controlled tone, a stable presence. Clearly defined boundaries that do not fluctuate. Trust, in this sense, is not enthusiasm. It is the absence of doubt. This explains why discussions surrounding Son Ye-jin and Hyun rarely escalate into controversy. There is no emotional fuel, no contradiction to analyze, no instability to interrogate. Their credibility does not hinge on romance. It hinges on reliability. In a media environment that rewards immediacy and constant engagement, this approach stands out. Their story does not progress through updates or revelations. It progresses through repetition, through restraint, through the steady confirmation of expectations that were set long ago. They are not followed because they promise access. They are followed because they offer predictability. There is something grounding about public figures who do not appear to perform their lives. Their choices feel lived in rather than staged. Their presence feels deliberate rather than reactive. Even when little is visible, there is no sense of disappearance. Silence does not signal absence. It signals continuity. This continuity reduces the audience's cognitive effort. Viewers do not need to reconcile conflicting images or revise beliefs. The mental framework they formed years ago still applies. That is why even minimal information is received calmly. The interpretive structure is already in place. Son Ye-jin and Hyun do not require the public to believe anything new about them. They simply continue behaving in ways that confirm what has already been understood. And because nothing new needs to be proven, nothing needs to be defended. This is the essence of trust without verification. Not because evidence is missing, but because expectation and behavior remain aligned so precisely that verification feels unnecessary. In many celebrity narratives, trust is fragile because it depends on moments. Moments can be reframed, moments can be contradicted, moments can be undone. Here, trust depends on patterns. Patterns are harder to disrupt. Patterns require sustained inconsistency to break. An inconsistency has not appeared. Instead, there has been repetition, the same tone, the same distance, the same refusal to dramatize personal life. This repetition does not create boredom, it creates security. Audiences grow comfortable with what does not surprise them. They stop anticipating disruption. They stop scanning for warning signs. In psychological terms, this is expectation stability. When expectations are stable, emotional arousal remains low. Low emotional arousal reduces critical engagement. Reduced critical engagement allows trust to persist. This does not mean audiences are unaware. It means they are unconcerned. Concern fuels doubt. Doubt erodes trust. Without concern, trust remains intact. This is why, when Son Ye-jin and Hyun are mentioned, the reaction is neither defensive nor celebratory. It is neutral, and neutrality is a powerful indicator of credibility. Neutral reactions suggest that the audience does not feel the need to protect or challenge the narrative. They accept it as part of a stable background. In a culture accustomed to volatility, stability becomes remarkable. Their story is not sustained by visibility, explanation, or emotional appeal. It is sustained by the absence of disruption. by the refusal to convert private life into public performance. Nothing is escalated, nothing is dramatized, nothing is framed as proof. And because nothing is framed as proof, belief does not feel coerced. Trust, in this case, is not an emotional decision. It is a cognitive one. It is the result of long-term pattern recognition. In the end, the lasting impression associated with Son Ye-jin and Hyun Bin is not tied to any specific moment or statement. It is tied to the way two individuals have chosen to exist publicly over time, calmly, consistently, and without asking to be believed.